After decades of marriage, my husband refused to get our marriage certificate, laughing, "Don't you have better things to do?" But one day, I found a hidden folder under the bed, his secret marriage certificate with another woman. That night, I quietly packed my bags and disappeared. What he didn't know was, I owned everything he thought was his. Can you imagine building an entire life with someone, dedicating 40 years, only to discover the entire foundation was a lie? I'm Mia, and my world shattered the day I found a crumpled, yellowed piece of paper that proved my husband, David, had been married to another woman for decades, and everyone knew but me. For 40 long years, I poured my heart and soul into a life with David. 40 years of marriage, you'd think, is something to celebrate, right? Well, this year, as our 40th anniversary rolled around, I thought, hey, maybe it's time we finally made things official. I suggested we get a marriage certificate. You know, just a piece of paper, a formality. But David? Oh, he just frowned. Deeply. His face clouded with this irritation, like I'd suggested something utterly preposterous. Why bother with a certificate after all these years? He snapped, as if the very idea was an insult. And our kids, always so quick to jump in, they echoed him. "Mom, don't chase after some modern trend," they said, like I was some naive teenager. So, reluctantly, I let it go. A quiet disappointment settled in my heart, but what could I do? My life was a whirlwind of raising our children, then our grandchildren, keeping the house, cooking meals, always focused on them, never on myself. Then one hectic day, deep in my usual cleaning frenzy, I stumbled upon it. Something that would violently tear my world apart. Under the bed, my hand brushed against this odd, forgotten scrap. I thought it was just trash, you know, a crumpled piece of paper. But as I pulled it out, my fingers went numb. It was a marriage certificate. Worn at the edges, yellowed with age, like it had been hidden away for decades. Small, unassuming, no fancy details, just faded, dull yellow ink. My hands started to tremble as I read the names. David Evans, my husband, age 75. And then, the other name. Olivia Walker. Olivia. His first love. The woman who had sworn she'd never marry. A cold, hard truth slammed into me. This was why David never wanted to legalize our marriage. He already had. With her. Someone who clearly mattered more. Every frustrating refusal, every uneasy glance from our kids when I brought it up, it all clicked. They knew. They knew the secret, probably long before I ever did. I just sat there, clutching that flimsy, devastating paper, staring at the home I'd built, the life I'd poured everything into. My mind was a whirlwind. And I realized in that quiet, aching moment that a marriage certificate didn't matter anymore. The house, the family, everything I'd lived for, it felt hollow. That old, faded certificate lay there, a silent, cruel reminder of a past I was never a part of. All the hopes, all the promises David and I had shared, suddenly felt like a lie. There had always been her. Something before me, something I couldn't change, something that would forever taint everything we had. I rubbed my eyes, thinking, am I seeing this right? Am I just getting old, my vision failing? But no matter how many times I looked, the names, the words, they stayed the same. From dawn's first light until the sun finally dipped below the horizon, I sat there, paralyzed. When darkness finally fell, I just sank onto the sofa, utterly exhausted, accepting the brutal reality. My husband had a secret life. He had gone behind my back and married another woman. My gaze fell to the date at the bottom, 1950. That's when a bitter, hollow laugh escaped me, tears streaming down my face like a broken string of pearls. 1950. I remembered it. That was the year the new policy came out, making marriage certificates accessible to everyone. David was 35, I was 33, our kids were teenagers. We'd survived the hardest years together, built a life, a family. Everyone saw us as the perfect couple. So, naturally, I brought it up. Let's finally get our certificate, David. But he, the gentleman I knew, snapped at me for the very first time. His brow furrowed, his voice sharp. We're an old married couple. Why no? I froze, my heart swelling with a mix of confusion and pain. He just turned and walked away, retreating to the bedroom. That's when the Cold War started. And the kids, bless their hearts, they got involved. Our son, stern-faced and impatient, chided me, "Mom, it's just a marriage certificate. Why make a fuss? You're old. Stop acting like a silly young girl." Then our daughter, ever the sweet one, tried to coax me, "Mom, you and Dad are already married. The certificate's such a hassle. It takes days. We need you here." You see, David was the breadwinner, but I was everything else. My days were a nonstop tornado. A free afternoon was a luxury. Days for paperwork? Impossible. My daughter saw my hesitation, took my hand, and promised, "Once things calm down, we'll go together." I nodded, clinging to that hope. I hoped that finally, with my children by my side, I could get that paper. But decades blurred into a relentless cycle of exhaustion. Not a single free day came. The idea of the certificate faded, just another forgotten dream. Until today. Until I found this certificate with David's name next to Olivia's. For 40 years, from when he was 35 to 75, he'd been secretly married to her. And I had no idea. I stood there, frozen, utterly hollowed out. Before I could even process the earthquake that had just hit my life, there was a frantic pounding at the door. I opened it to absolute chaos. My son, daughter-in-law, daughter, and son-in-law burst in with my 2 grandkids, nearly knocking me over. My son, wiping rain from his face, glared at me. "Mom, why didn't you pick up the kids?" "If Mrs. Walker hadn't called me, they'd be soaked," he snapped, his voice dripping with frustration. "You're really getting useless, aren't you?" My daughter-in-law and son-in-law were just as furious. My crying granddaughter, seeing my face, screamed at me, shoving me away. "Go away. I don't want you as my grandma. I want Grandma Walker." And my innocent little grandson piped up, "Dad, Grandma Walker is so pretty. Can we get a new grandma?" I froze. A wave of painful clarity washed over me. This wasn't new. My own children, when they were little, had said things like, "Why isn't Mom as pretty as Aunt Walker? I want Aunt Walker to be my mom. Mom's so plain." My children had always preferred Olivia. Any other day, this would have shattered me. But now, with David's secret certificate in my hand, a strange calm settled over me. Legally, Olivia was their real grandmother. But did my own children know? Did they know about this deception? I pressed my lips together, a plan forming, clutching that crumpled certificate. I held it out for them to see. My voice was eerily calm, detached. "Don't worry," I said. "Your dad and mom already found you a new grandmother." The moment their eyes fell on that certificate, their faces shifted. Not with surprise, no. With embarrassment, shame, guilt, and pure nervousness. They knew. My God, how could I have been so blind? They knew all along. They'd been part of this elaborate lie, actively working to keep me from ever getting my own marriage certificate with David. I stared up at the ceiling, tears blurring my vision. A bitter wave of disappointment, then cold anger, washed over me. All those years my children spent at Olivia's, claiming she tutored them. Me, the concerned mother, never daring to stop them. I even sent her gifts, grateful for her help. Oh, how they must have mocked me behind my back, all of them playing this twisted family charade while hiding the truth. And the pitying glances from my daughter-in-law and son-in-law whenever Olivia's name came up. They all knew. I was the only fool in the dark. I looked around the house, the one I'd cleaned and managed for decades. My adult children, still living here, adding to the chaos with their own kids. Every day I cleaned, cooked, cared for everyone, sacrificing my own life so they could focus on their work. I had spent my entire existence immersed in their family matters, yet I didn't even have the basic title to my own marriage. My head swam. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I had never, not once, lived for myself. Not a single day. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in fiery hues, I knew. It was time. Time for me. Even if it was just for the final act of my life. With a newfound resolve, I turned. And I began to pack. I was leaving this house, this elaborate, suffocating cage of deception and lies. Confusion first, then pure panic. My son, face red with shame and anger, lunged to block my exit. Mom, you're too old for this. What are you doing? His voice was full of disdain. It's just a marriage certificate. It means nothing. You're still my real mom. My daughter, flustered and frantic, chimed in, Mom, even if Dad married Mrs. Walker, nothing really happened. Dad's loyal to you. He never meant to betray you. She was just sick. He just wanted to comfort her. I looked up, my gaze ice-cold and steady, directly at them. How could they spew such shameless lies without a flicker of hesitation? I pushed their hands away, my voice chilling them to the bone. Don't call me Mom. Legally, Olivia is your mother. My stern tone, for the very first time, sent my grandchildren into uncontrollable sobs. My son, his frustration boiling over, yelled after me, Mom, is this really what you want? At your age, who's going to take you in? You'll regret this, mark my words. I straightened my back, grabbed my bag, and walked out. I didn't look back. Behind me, I heard my son stomping in fury, my daughter frantically calling David. Her voice was pure panic. Dad, Mom found the certificate. She's leaving. You need to come back now. On the other end of the line, I heard a thud. The chaos, the begging, it didn't matter anymore. I moved into one of my own houses, embarking on the first real break I'd ever had. My son thought I'd be abandoned? He had no idea. I had several properties, a fortune inherited from my parents, quietly tucked away. And, because David and I were never legally married, he had no claim to any of it. Leaving that house, escaping the endless chores, the constant bickering, the jarring cries. I finally realized how peaceful the world could be. For the first time, I stepped out with no destination but myself. Not the market, not school pickups, but a bustling shopping mall. I bought a bright red dress, applied red lipstick. Staring at my reflection, a genuine smile spread across my face, a smile of absolute freedom. This new era, this triumph of my own spirit, it was healing me. I started living again, truly living for me. I enrolled in senior university classes, explored the city, traveled. I reconnected with the world, a world I hadn't truly seen in decades. Just as I was finally finding my footing, David appeared. Worn, but still radiating that superior confidence. Even now, he was the esteemed Professor Evans, the man universally admired. I had spent so much of my life in his shadow, feeling like mere dust compared to his greatness. But finding that certificate? It shattered every illusion. I realized then, I'd supported our family just as much as he had. We were supposed to be equals. He wasn't some noble deity. He looked at me with his usual exasperation, like I was the problem. Has the situation calmed down yet? He asked, as if I'd been throwing a tantrum. I took a deep breath. My voice was calm, cold. David, I'm not causing a scene. Let's just end this. His eyes widened in surprise. He took off his glasses, rubbing his temples. Mia, I can explain. It's not what you think. I gave him a flat, unreadable nod. He hesitated, then his tone softened, laced with what sounded like pity. She had cancer, Mia. Her dying wish was to marry me. She was so sick. You have to understand. I only signed the certificate. There was no physical relationship, I swear. He fixed his gaze on me, trying to emphasize his loyalty. I couldn't help but let out a bitter, cutting laugh. Well, it seems she didn't die after all, did she? In fact, she's thriving. She's a fashion icon, calling herself a 3-year-old fairy. Mia, he snapped, trying to cut me off. I met his gaze, still cold. Realizing his placating words weren't working, he shifted tactics. Mia, we've been together so many years. It's just a piece of paper. Why make such a big deal? Just a piece of paper? I echoed, my voice low. Would you be willing to divorce Olivia for that piece of paper? He went silent. I felt utterly drained, overwhelmed by the sheer ridiculousness. David, I waved him away. Just leave. I'm done. But he wasn't. He grabbed my hand, trying to pull me back, but I yanked it free. Disbelief flashed across his face. As he tried to approach me again, I wiped my wrist, my eyes like ice. Professor Evans, I said, we don't even have a marriage. If you keep this up, I'll report you for harassment. He froze, his hand dropping, his face a mask of frustration and helplessness. He couldn't drag me back, but he didn't give up easily. He truly believed I was just throwing a tantrum, that with enough patience, I'd forgive him. So, he rented a place nearby. Every single day, he hounded me, begging me to come home. "It's just a piece of paper, Mia. You're overreacting," he'd say, as if it was meaningless. But to me, it was everything. It was the stark, undeniable proof of his lies, his betrayal, and our hollow, pretend life. And just when I thought my life couldn't get more absurd, Olivia contacted me. I met her at some trendy bar. There she was, center stage, white hair gleaming, absolutely captivating, dancing, draped in a daring, slit gown. The crowd was roaring, praising her, this ultimate single goddess. No wonder David had worshipped her. After her performance, she toasted, "Long live singlehood." I used to admire her rebellious stance, her independence. But holding David's certificate with her name on it, all I felt was bitter irony. She spotted me, linked arms, and mischievously announced, "This is my friend, a great homemaker." You could hear the condescension in every syllable. The young people around us glanced at her, then at me, the dull, unremarkable housewife, their eyes filled with pity and disdain. I was, in their eyes, the poster child for how marriage ruins a woman. She pulled me into a private room, settling in with a superior smirk. "David told me you found our marriage certificate," she purred, "and you're throwing a tantrum." I just frowned. She assumed I was admitting guilt. "You don't have to worry about me taking him away," she sneered. "If I wanted him, do you think he'd still be with you?" She was right, of course. David would drop me in a heartbeat if she crooked a finger. But if she didn't want him, why the secret marriage? I had to ask. She hesitated, then pulled out a faded photo, a man in military uniform, strikingly similar to David. "This," she said, touching it fondly, "was my fiancé. He died in battle. I dreamed of marrying him." Then I saw David. They look almost the same. Marrying David, it felt like marrying him. I was speechless. David, the revered professor, her secret husband of 40 years, was just a substitute. She put the photo away, her expression turning dismissive. "So, go back to your life. I won't destroy your marriage." Her disdain was palpable. She saw herself as so far above me, the lowly homemaker, too elegant to fight over a man. She'd looked down on me before, just like when I painstakingly embroidered a scarf for her, and she tossed it in the trash, mocking my old-fashioned gift. I watched her, silently counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, the room outside exploded with shouts. Olivia, not single. Married. Breaking up families. A tidal wave of confused, angry voices. Olivia's face drained of color. She sprang up, voice trembling. "Did you tell everyone?" I just corrected her. "Not just some people, Olivia. I told everyone." Before I'd even met her, I'd sent that certificate to every major newspaper and magazine in the city. Her 40-year secret was about to make headlines. Her carefully constructed image as the ultimate single goddess was about to be obliterated. Her pupils contracted, her face twisted in horror. "You're insane. You'll ruin me. David will never forgive you," she shrieked. "I didn't want to destroy your marriage. Why are you doing this?" What was she babbling about? I slowly stood, dusted off my sleeves, and gave her a chilling stare. "You really think you're innocent, don't you? You're the one who insisted on marrying David, and now you're afraid of your own marriage being exposed? You wanted the best of both worlds, played it perfectly. Don't think your dead fiancé would be heartbroken. He stopped loving you the moment you married David. Don't flatter yourself." Olivia glared at me with pure venom. I just turned my back and walked out. The world erupted. Olivia's carefully constructed image as the independent, single woman shattered. People dug into her past, revealing not just her secret marriage, but that she was the other woman, the one who broke up a family. Her reputation was in tatters. She aged 10 years overnight, sinking into a very public depression. And then David found me. His face was etched with disappointment. "Mia," he said, "why would you do this to Olivia? She's innocent." I can handle your anger, your criticism, but you shouldn't have done this to her. I'm so disappointed in you. He'd been looking so worn lately, slumped, less energetic, dragged down by Olivia's drama. Honestly, seeing him now, all I felt was disgust. How could I have loved this shameless fool for half my life? The realization felt pathetic. He clenched his fists, then delivered his verdict. I'm moving in with Olivia. It's the only way to minimize the damage. Let's just part ways. Don't ever call yourself my wife again. We're strangers. He wanted to avoid the rumors, make it seem like Olivia was his real wife. Of course, selfish Olivia would agree. And David, who couldn't say no to her 40 years ago, still couldn't say no. Just days earlier, he'd been begging me to come back. Now, he was quick to sever ties. I remained calm, my face utterly cold. Because this was exactly what I had planned. I was done with David's pathetic charade, his false sympathy, his attempts to lure me back. I wasn't that naive young girl anymore. I wouldn't waste the precious little time I had left playing out some tired, regretful husband chasing after wife drama. My remaining years? They were for me. For my freedom, my passion. As for Olivia, she could finally experience the housewife life she so despised. And David? He got what he always wanted, Olivia, completely by his side. He should be thrilled. The only catch? He still had no idea he was nothing more than a substitute. So, I calmly said goodbye to David. My destination? Beijing, a city where every inch of land was precious. At the senior university, a visiting professor saw my embroidery, a skill my mother taught me, a passion David called a waste of time, something my children and grandchildren never appreciated, preferring their Barbies to my intricate patterns. Olivia, you remember? She once threw an embroidered scarf I made her into the trash. But now my heart swelled with the conviction that this art, this beautiful, intricate skill, deserved to be seen. It deserved to shine. And I had my chance to take it to the world stage. I wasn't going to miss it. On the day I left, they all came to see me off. Olivia, David, my son and daughter-in-law, my daughter and son-in-law. Not out of warmth, though. Olivia, provocative as ever, cuddled up to David, eyeing me triumphantly. David, usually so proper, held her tight, a smile that was both indulgent and helpless playing on his lips. They looked like the picture of a happily entwined couple. My daughter-in-law nudged my son, clearly hoping he'd intervene, but he just pouted. Dad and Auntie Walker are just in love. Some people can be jealous all they want. It's useless, he sneered. You tried to expose their marriage, to separate them, but all you did was bring them closer. You think running away like a child makes a difference? The family's better off without you. I stared at him, my own son. How did I raise such an ungrateful, spiteful child? He'd always adored Olivia, thought she was so sophisticated, so gentle, so much better than strict, shouting me. He never understood she had no expectations, no responsibility. I raised him, ferried him to classes, picked him up every day, slaved over study plans. After he and my daughter married, I took on their kids too, so they could focus on work. I was exhausted daily. Yet, to him, I was nothing compared to Olivia's poisonous charm. He was just like her, standing high above, judging everyone else. Then I looked at my daughter. A flicker of reluctance in her eyes, but just a flicker. The expensive jade bracelet I'd given her? It was now on Olivia's wrist. My daughter, who never gave anything away easily, was clearly welcoming Olivia into the family with open arms. I closed my eyes, a wave of profound heartbreak washing over me. Half my life, spent tirelessly. And this was the result. These were the children I raised. This hurt more than David's betrayal. But I couldn't blame anyone but myself. I'd poured everything into them, neglected myself. Now, this was my bitter punishment. But no more. I wouldn't live like this. You have to live for yourself, because only you will never betray you. With that quiet, fierce resolve, I turned and boarded the plane. As it lifted off, I watched the blurring figures below, and a thought, almost mischievous, bloomed in my mind. It'll be a year till I'm back. I wonder what kind of spectacle this family will have become by then. I knew deep down that those bright and shining people in their lives their so-called red birthmarks and white moonlights would eventually fade into nothing but mosquito bites and leftover rice. Campus life was peaceful for me, but I kept hearing about the storm raging in David's home. From the stories, I pieced together Olivia and David's first year together. Initially, the family was thrilled. But Olivia, used to her air of superiority, started acting like a spoiled child. She expected to be waited on, lash out with sarcasm if displeased. Her son and daughter, fueled by old affection, tolerated it. But the daughter-in-law and son-in-law? They snapped after Olivia fought with the grandkids over food. The house nearly tore itself apart. Olivia, who was vibrant on the dance floor, was a terror at home. David had to spend hours calming her. The fighting never stopped. Soon, my former children's affection turned to cold indifference. They despised her. They urged David to divorce her. David, ever focused on work, was furious. He'd spent years wanting Olivia. He wouldn't divorce her over squabbles. He lashed out, cruel words like invisible needles. I used to be there, comforting the kids, smoothing things over. Not anymore. Olivia just got smug, provoked them further. That night, her son-in-law left with his family. My son considered it, but he was too weak. Since I'd left, no one was there to care for the kids. My daughter-in-law had to quit her job. My son bore the financial burden. They couldn't move out, so they endured constant fighting with Olivia. My son clashed daily with David. They hated each other. The house was a suffocating hell. David, exhausted, still defended Olivia, but he aged rapidly. Then, he found the photo of Olivia's fiancé. The realization hit him. He was a stand-in. After that, David stopped intervening, no matter how much his own children tormented Olivia. She, in turn, fueled by hatred, tormented him at school. They went from loving partners to resentful enemies. I heard it all, but just smiled. I didn't care anymore. But they, of course, insisted on disturbing my peace. My daughter and granddaughter showed up first, thin, red-eyed, standing in the cold wind outside my apartment. "Mom," I invited them in. I'd heard my son-in-law had taken my daughter and granddaughter away, and life wasn't easy. My daughter, who chose Olivia over me, had created this chaos. Her husband was now taking his anger out on her. Her eyes fixed on me, the old childish longing in them, the one that disappeared when Olivia entered her life. "Mom, please come back," she begged, crying. Olivia made everything a mess. Yesterday, that woman gave the kids sleeping pills because she didn't want to put them to sleep. My frown deepened. Children are the heart and soul of a parent. No wonder my daughter and daughter-in-law wanted to beat Olivia. My granddaughter, timid now, whispered, "Grandma, I miss you." She wasn't the little tyrant anymore. My daughter clung to my arm, whining, pleading. Just then, Amy returned with Eva. "Mom," Amy called. Eva ran to me, distressed. "Grandma, I didn't see you at school. I missed you so much." I smiled, patting Eva's head. My daughter and granddaughter froze, staring at Amy and Eva. I explained to them that from now on, Amy and Eva would be my real daughter and granddaughter. My daughter's face went pale. My granddaughter glared at Eva, almost in tears. "You can't take my grandma. She's my grandma. She's coming home with us." Eva looked at me, her eyes brimming. I pulled Eva close. "Grandma's not going back. I'm staying with Eva." Eva finally smiled through her tears. My daughter and granddaughter were fuming. My daughter bit her lip, her voice filled with bitterness and regret. "Mom, I was wrong. I shouldn't have kept the marriage certificate with Olivia a secret." I just waved my hand. "It's in the past. I don't mind anymore." Her tears fell freely then, but I remained unmoved. I politely asked her to leave. She walked away, defeated, dragging my granddaughter with her. After my daughter left, news of my new family reached my son. He stormed over. He stopped dead at the sight of my new home, a grand place with an imposing gate. "Mom, is this your house?" I just nodded. He was stunned, practically collapsing. "This must cost millions. Where did you get this money?" When he learned about my inheritance, his eyes gleamed with pure greed. "An inheritance? Well, I should get my share. I'm your son. Give me my part." I couldn't help but laugh, a cold, cutting sound. My dear son, I replied, you seem to have forgotten. I'm no longer related to you. Your mother is Olivia. He froze, then his face twisted with rage. I'm your son. Can you really stand to watch me suffer without money? What about your grandson? You don't care about him either? Give me the money, or I swear this isn't over, he spat. I looked at him, profoundly disappointed. I had raised a monster. I'd anticipated his trouble, so I had bodyguards waiting. As he lunged at me, they restrained him, giving him a thorough beating. He fled, bruised and beaten. Days later, my daughter-in-law divorced him. She'd heard how he threatened me, how he tried to lay hands on me. It scared her. If he could hit you today, he'd do the same to me tomorrow, she said, fear in her eyes. A man like that isn't worth staying with. She bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Mom. You were always a good mother-in-law. I wasn't a good daughter-in-law. This divorce is my punishment. I watched her, suitcase heavy, taking my grandson, slowly fading into the distance. I sent her 50,000 yuan, a final gesture. My son, meanwhile, drowned his sorrows in alcohol. When David came home, speaking coldly to him, my son snapped. He went wild, attacking David, screaming accusations. It's all your fault. If you hadn't married Olivia, I wouldn't be in this mess. Olivia, that worthless woman, ruined everything. Mom left because of her. You abandoned Mom. What did she ever do wrong? You abandoned your wife and children, but it's all because of you. David, who'd been struggling to free himself, suddenly gave up, collapsing, consumed by regret. My son panicked, seeing David in a pool of blood, rushing him to the hospital. David's mind had been tormented, his health deteriorating. Doctors gave little hope. He asked to see me one last time. I arrived at his bedside. Gone was the distinguished Professor Evans. Only a withered old man remained, consumed by remorse. His cloudy eyes flickered when he saw me. He raised a hand, as if to take mine, but hesitated, seeing the coldness in my gaze. His hand fell. Mia, I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice heavy with guilt. I nodded. He had, indeed, wronged me. His regret deepened, struggling for breath. I lied about the certificate, but my feelings for you were real. I looked at him, my expression chilling. He stared, desperate for my response before he passed. My words dimmed his eyes instantly. You didn't love me, I said softly. If you stubbornly think that's love, then your love means nothing. His love had trapped me in the kitchen, made me bear his children, manage his household. But he never saw me. The woman, the human, the bright soul beneath the surface. He never saw myself. David passed away in despair. I closed my eyes and walked out. Olivia appeared, stumbling down the corridor, then froze, staring at David's lifeless body. She burst into tears, then turned vicious eyes on me. Did you kill him? I had no desire to engage with Olivia, but her calculating glare as I walked away told me she wasn't finished. The next day, I was trending on social media. Olivia, playing the ultimate victim, spun a web of lies online. I had destroyed her family, even caused David's death. She gained massive sympathy, followers, and money. I almost laughed. I had no intention of replying, but she forced my hand. Did she think I was still that timid, meek Mia from before? I logged on, took a deep breath, and began to write my story. It started when I found an old marriage certificate under the bed. I thought it was just a scrap of paper. It was small, faded, yellowed. No vibrant patterns. Just names, birthplaces, ages. The man's name was my 75-year-old husband. The woman's name was not mine. It was late when I finished. I hit upload. This wasn't just to counter Olivia. It was for every woman my age, every elderly sister. I knew my experience wasn't unique. So many married young, unaware of the certificate's importance, or talked out of it by indifferent husbands, or simply never knew their husband had married someone else. I didn't want anyone else to be deceived. Instead of cursing the darkness, I decided to light a lamp. The article exploded. Comments poured in. Mia, thank you. My grandfather never wanted to marry my grandma, and I found out he married someone else. Same here. Olivia is so evil. She deserves to be banned. I scrolled through, a small smile forming. Then I froze. The last comment, Olivia has been banned from the internet. She had no savings, no other income. Being banned was her death sentence. Evil truly had its consequences. Just then, Eva rushed in from school, throwing herself into my arms. Grandma, my teacher asked what kind of person is the best. What kind of person is the best? I gently rubbed her nose, smiling. There's no one best person, darling. Everyone is the best in their own way. Her eyes lit up, processing my words. She nodded, a determined glint in her eye. I'll be the best version of myself, Grandma, she declared, full of quiet confidence. My heart swelled. I ruffled her hair. That's the spirit, darling, I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. But remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being true to yourself and always doing your best. Her eyes sparkled with understanding. And in that moment, I saw the strong, wise woman she would become. A deep pride filled me. All the pain, the lies, the heartache of my past had led me here, to this moment, with Eva by my side. The road had been long, hard, full of painful lessons. I had loved, lost, and learned to stand tall despite everything. Now, looking at my sweet granddaughter, the future felt brighter than ever. No matter what came my way, I had her. Together, we could face anything. Come here, little one, I said, holding out my arms. She rushed into my embrace, her warmth and innocence seeping into my very soul. The world outside was unpredictable, full of dangers, but here, with Eva in my arms, everything felt right. I took a deep breath, a deep sense of peace settling over me. The turmoil of the past was behind me. I couldn't erase the scars, but I'd learned to live with them. I'd made mistakes, yes, but I had also made the right choices. I had fought for my truth, for the ones I loved. And now I could finally rest, knowing I'd shaped a better future for Eva and for myself. Grandma, can we make some cookies now? Eva's voice, full of joy and innocence, broke through my thoughts. Of course, I replied, my heart lighter than it had been in years. Let's make the best cookies ever. As I guided her through mixing the dough, I felt an overwhelming gratitude. Life hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. In this little kitchen, with Eva laughing beside me, I realized that the greatest joys often come not from grand accomplishments, but from the quiet moments we share with those we love. As we put the cookies in the oven, her eyes wide with excitement, I knew the future, uncertain as it was, could be faced with confidence. The past had shaped me, but it wouldn't define me. I had survived. And with Eva at my side, I was ready for whatever came next. Despite all I'd lost, I'd gained something far more precious: hope, love, and the strength to keep moving forward, one step at a time.